The movie begins in 1945 at a World War II prison camp near Nagasaki, Japan. An air raid siren rings as Allied jets fly over the city. Just then we see a Japanese officer, Yashida, hastily opening up the prison cells in order to free the captives. And a few moments later, he notices an underground prison cell in which a man named Logan is imprisoned. Yashida asks Logan to leave, but he refuses, stating that B-29 planes are flying above them and there's no way to avoid what's about to happen. He advises that Yashida enter the pit as well, but the other officers call Yashida to join them. Then, Yashida kneels alongside the other officers to end his life, but he cannot bring himself to do it. Just then, Logan arrives and asks him to get down into the pit, since he'll have a higher chance of surviving the nuclear blast below. Yashida then jumps into the pit accompanied by Logan. With this, Logan takes a metal door and covers the officer with it. Moments after, a wall of flames explodes into the pit, which brutally burns Logan. Yashida survives the explosion with only minor burns on his cheek and stares in horror as the burns on Logan's body begin to heal before his eyes. The scene then shifts to 70 years later, when Logan is now living alone and is plagued by nightmares and memories of accidentally killing his girlfriend Jean Grey. He now lives in the forest like a wild beast, without bathing or shaving. However, he hasn't aged at all because he's immortal. One evening, Logan hears some screeching in the distance and goes outside to investigate it. Soon after, he discovers that the sounds are those of a grizzly bear who is struck by a poison-coated arrow. After seeing the pain in its tear-filled eyes, Logan decides to put the bear out of its suffering and eventually kills it. Following this, Logan enters a local bar and hears a hunter talking about how he killed the bear. Without saying anything, he stabs the hunter's hand with the bow, pinning it to the table. He then angrily confronts the hunter, demanding to know if he shot the bear with illegally poisoned arrows. Logan then gets into a fight with the hunter and his friends, and he's about to kill all of them. But suddenly he's stopped by a Japanese lady named Yuiko. She asks Logan not to kill them, and claims these men will die in a week regardless. It turns out that she has the ability to see the future. Yuiko then slices her sword through the air, almost killing and terrifying the hunters. Next, Logan walks away with Yuiko and gets into her rental car. On the way, Yuiko reveals that she has been tracking Logan for over a year. She claims she was sent by her boss, Yashida, who is currently dying of cancer. Yuiko says that her boss wishes to meet Logan before passing away and thank him for saving his life so many years ago. At first, Logan is hesitant to travel to Tokyo merely to meet Yashida, but after a bit of convincing, he eventually agrees. As they arrive in Tokyo, Yuiko informs him that Yashida helped rebuild Tokyo after the war and is now Asia's richest and most powerful man. They then arrive at Yashida's exquisite home, which is well secured by his bodyguards. There, Logan notices Yashida's granddaughter, Mariko, crying after her talk with her grandfather. Following this, Logan is unwillingly dragged into a bathtub and scrubbed and shaved to make him look presentable. Finally, Logan is now allowed to speak with Yashida, who has grown very old. Yashida informs Logan of his plan to transfer Logan's immortality mutation into his body, since he is not ready to die. He claims that he wants to stay alive since the life of his granddaughter Mariko is in danger. Logan, on the other hand, is irritated by the request, and he immediately refuses him. As he walks away, he notices Mariko's father, Shingen, aggressively hitting his sad daughter. Distressed by this, Mariko tries to jump off of the nearest cliff but is stopped by Logan. Later, Logan dreams of Jean, who crawls into his bed with him and kisses him. As the dream ends, Jean becomes Dr. Green, who is Yashida's oncologist. Her snake-like tongue digs deep into Logan's neck and dumps something, causing a green vapor to ooze from his mouth. Logan soon awakes due to a ruckus outside, and when he goes out to take a look, he finds out that Yashida has passed away. The following day, Logan arrives with Yuiko for Yashida's funeral. However, Shingen is annoyed with Logan and orders him to go alone. Meanwhile, we see that the ritual is being watched from a distance by a lone archer named Harada. He's the late Yashida's disciple and now keeping an eye to protect Mariko, who's there with her fiancé Noburo. Just then, Logan detects something wrong when he spots a yakuza hitman disguised as a robed priest. Soon after, yakuza hitmen quit their pretense and shoot Logan in the chest while trying to kidnap Mariko. Surprisingly, Logan experiences severe pain this time, and his wounds also don't heal quickly. Despite this, he fights with the goons and is backed up by Yuiko and Harada. Eventually, Logan takes Mariko deep into the city while the yakuza follows them. As they board a bullet train, he sees that his healing abilities are fading. When he wonders why the yakuzas are after her, Mariko says that according to her grandfather's will, she will be named the new head of the Yashida company instead of her father. Therefore, they're trying to take advantage of her. Afterward, Logan and Mariko arrive at a shady hotel, believing that the yakuzas won't find them there. However, sometime later, Logan is again attacked by the yakuzas. He strikes back, but since he's outnumbered, the hitmen nearly kill him. However, Mariko intervenes and manages to kill all of them with the blades. Sometime later, Logan awakens in a veterinarian's office where the son of the hotel's owner is stitching up his wounds. Meanwhile, Dr. Green is seen walking through a dark alley, and it's revealed that she is a human snake mutant that can spit poisonous acid and goes by the name Viper. Moments after, she meets Harada and asks about the location of Mariko and Logan. Viper tells him that she is responsible for Logan's mutant powers being diminished and orders him to find them as soon as possible before the yakuzas. The following morning, Mariko and Logan arrive at Yashida's home in Nagasaki. When Logan recognizes Harada in one of the pictures, Mariko admits that she grew up with Harada and wanted to marry him, but her father refused. Later, they go for a walk, and Logan identifies the prison camp's site and the well where he rescued Yashida. He recalls the day Yashida handed him the sword as a token of gratitude for saving him, but Logan refused, telling him to keep it safe and that he would come get it someday. Moments after, it starts to rain, and Mariko and Logan rush home. Then, one thing leads to another, and the two kiss and make love. But when Logan wakes up the next morning, he can't find Mariko anywhere. He then hears her screams outside and discovers that the yakuzas have captured her. Logan then pursues Mariko while she is tossed into the car. One of the goons shoots Logan, slowing him down, but Logan manages to pull him out of the car. He then pins the man to the ground and torments him for information about Mariko's location. Just then, Yumiko, who had followed the Yakuza to Nagasaki, arrives and reunites with Logan. The two then pursue their one and only lead, who is Mariko's fiancé, Noburo. They later discover Noburo in his apartment with a couple of prostitutes. After Logan threatens him, he finally reveals that Shingen assigned him to kill Mariko, and they are now taking her to him. After that, Yumiko and Logan head back to Tokyo. Meanwhile, Mariko arrives at the Yashida mansion, where her father awaits her. He confesses that after discovering that Mariko, instead of himself, would inherit the business, he worked with the Yakuza through Noburo to have her killed. Suddenly, some ninjas commanded by Harada and Viper storm the place and start attacking the guards. After killing all of the guards, Viper spits in Shingen's face, severely disfiguring it, and tosses him into the pool. With this, she and Harada abduct Mariko and run away from there. Sometime later, when Logan and Yumiko arrive, they discover evidence of the massacre. They then enter Yashida's private chamber, which is loaded with high-tech medical equipment and X-ray scanners. Logan enters the MRI machine and guides the X-ray over his body, revealing a metallic parasite hooked to his heart, which has been hampering his healing ability. He then uses one of his claws to cut open his chest and reach for his heart. Shingen, who appears to have survived, shows up and proceeds to attack Logan. However, Yumiko steps in and beats Shingen, allowing Logan to remove the parasite in his heart. Shingen eventually overpowers Yumiko and is about to kill her, but a healed Logan steps in and manages to end his life. Next, Logan heads to the Yashida facility, where Mariko is being held. Meanwhile, Viper sends Harada to capture Logan alive and gives him poison for his arrow. Later, in a nearby village, Harada and his ninjas confront Logan. They all attack him with the venomous arrow, which gradually weakens Logan until he finally passes out. Sometime later, Logan awakens within the facility, strapped into a stalk and motionless. Viper then appears and praises him for successfully removing her parasite. He hears Mariko yell his name and notices a giant metallic mechanical samurai on his left. Viper explains that Yashida had been developing adamantium in recent years, having become obsessed with Logan's adamantium skeleton. He made the set of armor out of the material, and with it, Logan can finally be killed. Meanwhile, Mariko is held captive by Harada, who believes he is working for the Yashida's interests despite knowing the Viper is evil. He then convinces Mariko that he is doing this all for her and kisses her. She also kisses him back, but moments after, she takes out his dagger and stabs him in the shoulder. Just then, the Silver Samurai rises from his seat and strides over to Logan, holding a fiery 8-foot-long sword. However, as it prepares to hack off Logan's claws, Mariko appears and distracts the samurai. This causes the samurai to cut Logan's bonds open, allowing him to flee. Meanwhile, Yumiko also arrives and fights Viper, while Logan deflects punches from the much larger and stronger samurai. The samurai is able to chop off the claws of one of Wolverine's hands, revealing the bone underneath the adamantium. After being stabbed by his love, Harada also realizes his wrongdoing and makes one final attempt for redemption by attacking the Silver Samurai, which gives Logan a chance to collect himself and take up one of the samurai's two swords. Enraged by Harada, the samurai stabs him with his sword and eventually kills him. While the samurai is distracted, Logan cuts its head off. He's then thrown out of the hole, and as he hangs hundreds of feet above the ground, the samurai gathers himself and slices off Logan's other hand's claws. Just then, the samurai's pilot is revealed to be Yashida, the old man they thought was dead. Yashida reveals that his life goal since meeting Logan has been to extend his own life at any cost. And when Logan refused to go through with the procedure, he faked his own death with the help of Viper and kidnapped Mariko, knowing it would lead Logan to him. After this, Yashida grasps Logan's wrists and 6 drills emerge from the suit's forearms. Logan's exposed bone claws are drilled through to the marrow. He begins to age in seconds, whereas Yashida, due to the linked suit, regains his youth. Meanwhile, Mariko also arrives and witnesses her grandfather's scheme. Just then, one of Logan's severed claws suddenly flies through the air and lands in Yashida's head. With this, Mariko attacks her grandfather and stabs him in the head. Now Logan is finally liberated from the suit's drilling, his eyes regain life, and his bone claws regenerate immediately. He then stabs Yashida and tossed him out of the facility, sending him crashing onto the rocks below. In the final scene, we see that Mariko inherited her grandfather's firm and has risen to become Asia's most powerful person. She then kisses Logan goodbye, and they promise to see each other soon. Meanwhile, Yumiko decides to accompany Logan on his journey as his bodyguard and asks him where he wants to head next.